Everyone, Mr. Swerb checking in with a recap of week 2 of the NFL slate. Once again, home teams struggle 5-8-1 against the spread. Now 10-19-1 on the year for home teams. Similarly, favorites continue to struggle. Now 11-18-1 against the spread. So road teams and underdogs have ruled the roost through almost 2 full weeks in the NFL season. Also of note, with the Commanders' win over the Broncos, the NFC now 4-0 straight up and against the spread in games against the AFC. Let's go ahead and get into the action. Thursday night, it was Philadelphia 34, Minnesota 28, a.k.a. the DeAndre Swift game. Ran all over the Minnesota Vikings. Justin Jefferson, another game, 150 yards with no scores. Minnesota, once again, critical turnovers at the worst possible times. They fall to 0-2. Starting off a bunch of Kirk Cousins rumors, but get a last-second touchdown late to get the backdoor cover if you had the 6.5 in that game. But it was Philadelphia 34, Minnesota 28, Tampa Bay 27, Chicago 17. A resurgent Baker Mayfield, 26 of 34, 317 yards, no turnovers. Mike Evans, a huge game, 6 for 171, and Justin Fields continues to struggle. Took 6 sacks, threw a couple interceptions. Bears' offensive line continues to look like a hot mess. And right now, a lot of pressure on Fields and the Bears' offense to get that going. There was a lot of anticipation heading into the season, but not to be so far for Chicago. Buffalo 38, Las Vegas 10. Raiders got out to a 7-0 start, went right down the field early in this game, and they just got dominated. From that point on, Josh Allen with a big bounce back game, 31 of 37, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. James Cook popped off, and I think this is what Buffalo can be game, just dominating an opponent that had won on the road in Denver last week, 38-10. And with Vegas, hard to tell. They don't look like a playoff team whatsoever. This was their second road game to start the season, and it looks like they just kind of ran out of gas against a much more talented team in the second half of this one. It was Atlanta 25 and the Green Bay Packers, 24. Bijan Robinson, another big game. Looks like the real deal coming out of the University of Texas. 124 rushing yards, 4 catches, 48 yards. Desmond Ridder, after a lackluster first 3 halves of the year, really turned it on in the second half, led Atlanta to victory. Falcons in that offense went for 446 yards against the Packer defense that looked pretty good in week 1 and has 9 first-round picks on it. So big disappointment for Green Bay defensively in this one. So some things to work out for them there. And it ultimately is going to be a big part of the picture of what they will be this season. Green Bay was injury-riddled offensively. I thought Jordan Love really did a good job given all the missing pieces around him. Threw for 3 touchdowns. Now it's 6 touchdowns in his first 2 games, replacing Aaron Rodgers as starter. It was the Indianapolis Colts 31, Houston Texans 20. Story of this game, Anthony Richardson gets off to a great start, rushes for a couple touchdowns, makes a couple nice throws, and then leaves with the concussion. Gardner Minshew comes in and steers the ship to a victory. After a big start for the Colts, they hang on to win. I think for Houston, it was just not enough there for C.J. Stroud right now. Missing pretty much their entire offensive line. Given all that, I thought he's acclimated himself pretty well these first 2 games. Threw for 384 and 2 touchdowns yesterday, but was just under constant duress and not a lot surrounding him right now. He needs more help up front in front of him, obviously, before we can really know what CJ can be. Kansas City Chiefs 17, Jacksonville 9 on Patty Mahomes' 28th birthday. Kansas City kind of ekes out an ugly win after a bad start. That really a lot of turnovers, penalties in the first half of this game. But story of this game to me, Kansas City's defense showing up as one of the better defensive teams and units right now in the league through 2 weeks. Chris Jones comes back, was a force right out of the gate. 2 really, really good linebackers in Willie Gay and Nick Bolton, and a very good secondary. So Kansas City doing it with defense early. Jacksonville, just really bad start to the season. They talked a lot about this game after losing to KC in the playoffs. This was their home opener. They throw an egg, lay an egg, no-show this one. T-Law, 0 of 7 on passes in the red zone. Jacksonville just cannot get in the end zone and lose 17-9. Baltimore 27, Cincinnati 24. Lamar Jackson really looked incredible in this one. Todd Monken, the new offensive coordinator, I think you saw it on display what they want to be this year. A lot of short passes, some design runs, just time after time, big third down plays. Cincinnati unable to get a stop defensively. Lamar finding out a way to get it done either with his arm or his feet to keep the chains moving and get this one done on the road for the Ravens, bring them to 2-0. Bengals now 0-2. Burrow limps off the field late in the game with that calf injury. Not time to press the panic button yet for Cincy, but I'd at least find out where it is because, again, last year they started 0-2. Normally that's a death sentence in the NFL as it relates to making the playoffs. Cincinnati was able to buck the trend last year, but was the first year with the expanded playoffs. So we'll see what happens with the Bengals. Seattle 37, Detroit 31 in OT. Big bounce back win for the Seahawks after laying an egg at home in the opener against the Rams. Geno Smith really with a great performance, 32 of 41, 328 yards, 2 touchdown passes to Tyler Lockett, including the game winner in OT. Detroit, I had them in my big four in the NFC last week. I'm going to move them out of that this week just because their defense really has not shown me they can stop anyone. And Dan Campbell's coaching decisions, to me, I just really some questionable stuff once again this week. Super aggressive at points during the game, and then late in the game, they got a chance to win the game with a touchdown late. Just resigned for a field goal to send the thing into OT. Seahawks win the flip, go right down the field and score, and it's curtains for the Lions, who are now 1-1, as are Seattle. Tennessee 27, LA Chargers 24. Brandon Staley's 5th loss when leading by double digits. They led by 11 late in this one. Herbert throws for 300 plus again. They lose, and it's just same old song and dance with the Chargers. Herbert alone really is good enough to kind of carry this team to score points and stay in games, and they just cannot get stops when they need them. And again, questionable coaching continues to hamper this team. Ryan Tannehill with a bounce back game, 20 of 24, touchdown pass late that was big in this one, and a touchdown run as well. And one of my picks this week was the Titans. Just felt like it would be a close game, but Tennessee would be able to get it done at home. They were getting a field goal, and that was what happened. San Francisco 30, the LA Rams 23, a late field goal with 4 seconds left on the clock by the Rams, down 10, gets them to cover, making some waves in the gambling communities this morning. And another story of the game, non-winners, San Fran related, Puka Nacua, 15 for 147, sets the NFL record for most catches in the first 2 weeks of the season with 25, the 5th rounder. Unbelievable story to start the season. As far as the game itself went, I thought the Rams hung in there really well. Again, just San Fran late. I think the talent difference showed itself out. A couple late picks by the Niners D was the difference in this one. They win 30-23. Washington Commanders 35. Denver Broncos 33. Sean Payton goes to 0-2. The Commies go to 2-0. So, and now, granted, the wins are over Arizona and Denver. You could argue 2 of the worst teams in the league, but alas, you got to play who the schedule makers line up for you, and the Commanders are 2-0. Sam Howell, 299 yards passing and 2 touchdowns in his first road start, and not an easy one. In Denver, pretty good defense, so we'll see what Washington's made of when they start playing some real teams. But fell behind the Commanders 14-3 in this one. Went on a huge 32-3 run, hung on late. Russell Wilson, the stats will show, had 308 yards and 3 touchdowns, but the eye test is he's not good. A lot of dink, a lot of dunk, some rack, run after the catch. He had a big interception and just took a lot of sacks, holding onto the ball in the second half, and just could be, they're at Miami this week, Denver, is obviously going to be a very tough game, and they lose that game, which I fully expect. You could see Jarrett Stidham in week 4 for Denver. Sean Payton's not going to mess around in the Rocky Mountains. New York Giants 31, Arizona 28. The Giants make a furious comeback down 28-7 in the third quarter, terrifying me and many others who had them in survivor pools this week. They're big at 24 unanswered points to win this one 31-28. The biggest comeback for the Giants since 1949. Little bittersweet. Looks like Saquon Barkley limped off the field to end the game MRI forthcoming. We'll see what happens there. But the Giants, after falling down big, rally to avoid complete disaster to the start of the season and even the record at 1-1. Speaking of disaster to start the season, New York Jets are 1-1 thanks to a good Week 1 win on Monday night against the Bills, the Aaron Rodgers injury game, but just all the fears of Jets fans, I think, come to roost in a 30-10 loss to the Dallas Cowboys. Zach Wilson, 3 INTs. Micah Parsons, just a force to be reckoned with. I would argue right now he is the second best player in the game of football behind Patty Mahomes. And just wreaked havoc all day. CeeDee Lamb with a big game, 11 catches. Jets D was able to hold the Cowboys to 5 field goals, but just too many drives, not enough offense, too many turnovers from Zach. Easy win for the Cowboys, looking real good at 2-0. 30-10 winners. And then in Sunday Night Football, it was the Miami Dolphins 24, the New York Jets 17. Watching this game, watching Tua and Mike McDaniel, and then watching Mac Jones and Belichick, it just felt like the old days of the NFL versus the new days of the NFL. And Miami is the real deal. Looked really good. Not an easy place to win against a very good defense. Go in and take care of business. Really controlled the game from start to finish. The Patriots got a touchdown late to make it 24-17, but another big game for Tua, and Dolphins off and running, looking real good. Tua right now, the betting favorite to be the NFL MVP after coming off an offseason where a lot of people had a lot of question marks about him and Miami. So far so good for the Fish. Finishing things up, my top 4 on each side. AFC. One change. Last week I was Miami, KC, Cleveland, and Cincy. We're going to keep Miami in there, obviously. We're going to keep KC in there. We're going to keep the Browns in there playing tonight in Pittsburgh. Can't wait for that one. Big test for the Brownies. We're going to move the Baltimore Ravens in to the Big 4 in the AFC. My prediction on the Final 4, you'll see at the end of the year when we get down to the conference semifinals. Baltimore Ravens in and the Cincinnati Bengals out. On the NFC side, Philly, Dallas, San Fran stay in my Big 4. I expect them to remain there maybe all year. That 4th spot, though, who's it going to be? Last week it was Detroit. Move them out. Can't have them in and not Seattle. Atlanta, Washington, Tampa Bay, all 2-0. Are they conference semifinalists? I'm not ready to go there yet with them. I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints in the 4th spot. They play tonight. I like them as well to get it done on the road in Carolina to go to 2-0. I'm going to move the Saints into that 2 spot. That was this week's Week 2 NFL action recap. I'm Mr. Swerb with the Cardboard Jungle. You can find us at thecardboardjungle.com, where we break open new product Wednesday, Thursday, Friday nights. We're a big single seller of sports cards on eBay and ComC. Come give us a visit, and we'll see you soon with the next video.